If you have ever been on a VFR flight plan and had a cloud in front of you and said, heck with it, I'm gonna fly through it anyway, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and become a patron today. Hey aviators, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ty Jones, your AeroNerd, bringing you honest experiences, reviews, training tips that'll help you aviate, navigate, and communicate. Now, before I get started on the best process that I use to chair fly, I want to give a special shout out to my very first patron, Michael. So thank you so much. My very first patron supporter. For those of you who don't know, AeroNerd Aviation now has a Patreon page. So if you want to help support the channel, go ahead and check that out. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description and on the screen as well. So you can go and check that out. My ultimate goal from this patron is to raise enough money to be able to pay for somebody's private pilot training in full for those who have a dream of flying but are unable due to financial limitations, which I think is a bunch of crap, really. If you want to fly, you should be able to have that opportunity. So what I want to do is I'm going to try to bring that opportunity to those who want to fly but just aren't able to. So first, disclaimer. This is how I chair flew that best benefited me. Normally your instructor would tell you, hey, go ahead and go to Sporties and get one of these. So Sporties, you can actually get one of these for free. And what it is a very nice poster of your 172 cockpit. So you can actually put this on your board, put this on the wall, and you can sit in front of it and you can practice engine failures. You can practice maneuvers, power on, power off stalls. They actually have some for multi-engine, so you can practice VMCs and VMC demos and the procedures. You can reach out on the board and touch and see what you're going to be doing. But the only thing I don't like about that is when you're doing that kind of chair flying, you're sitting in a chair or your bed or whatever, you got the poster in front of you and you're doing the procedure. Okay, I have an engine failure. Okay, I got to make sure my fuel is on both. My fuel shutoff valve is in. The mixture is going to be rich. The throttle is as is. To make sure it's just there's nothing distracting. Now, when you're flying in the air, you're not just sitting there, okay, now I'm going to be making sure my fuel is on both. My fuel selector is in. But wait a minute. On the airplane, you're trying to maintain altitude. You're trying to watch for other traffic. Your instructor's over there just staring at you like, you're writing down. So, I mean, there's extra stress there. Your attention is actually divided out a little bit more. So it's a little bit more stressful when you're actually doing it in an airplane. And on top of that, you're paying for that too. So you kind of want to do the best you can and try to get it right the first time. So in case if you mess up, guess what? You have to probably go back on the airplane and you have to repay for another flight. So what I recommend you do is simulate that environment the best you can. But how can you do that? You can't do it by sitting in a chair because you have no other distractions, any other distractions. So this is what I do. And again, disclaimer, say it again. This is how I did it. I'm not trying to say to do it or anything. You can do this if you want to. This is what helped me the best. Chair fly while you're driving. Give yourself a scenario in every single green light. For example, you're driving along and you're sitting at a stoplight, your green light, go ahead and do the chair flying right there. Give yourself an engine failure when you do the green light. How this will mimic the same exact attention spread, I guess, if you will, if that's what you want to call it, when you're in an airplane, because in an airplane, you're watching out for traffic. Your eyes are inside and outside the airplane. When you're driving, if you give yourself a scenario while you're driving, your attention is both inside your vehicle and outside to make sure you don't end up in a ditch or something or crash into somebody else. You're watching for other drivers. Your attention is divided outside the vehicle, just the same as if you're in the airplane. Reach for the fuel selector while you're driving. Reach for the throttle, reach for the mixture, switch hands, reach for the ignition if you have to. That is the best, most efficient way to chair fly, in my opinion, because it helped me out so much. In fact, when I got back in the plane, it was so much easier. And in fact, you can do this as many times as you want, and it's free. The only thing that it costs you is gas money. That's literally it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you a clip of me actually doing chair flying in the vehicle. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so as I was saying before, this is the best way how I did my chair flying. right, so this is what I recommend. Every single green light, give yourself something. Like, for example, give yourself a engine failure. Do the procedures for power on stalls. Do the procedures for power off stalls. Steep turns, your clearing turns. Make sure you do everything appropriate and reach out on every single thing that you're supposed to do. So obviously, if you're flying a 172, you know, you have your fuel selector down here, you got your fuel shutoff valve down here, then you got your mixture, you got your throttle, and over here you have your fuses, you have your ignition, you have all the other stuff that you're supposed to check during during your pre-maneuver checklist, or during your engine failure restart checklist, or troubleshooting. So for example, right now I'm going to give myself an engine failure. Now, of course, I recommend doing this when you, of course, you know, every green light. But let's say I'm at a stoplight right now, and light turned green. All right, cool. I'm accelerating. You got cars around me. Okay, cool. I'm gonna give myself an engine failure. Oh my gosh! First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pitch for glide. I got the trim right here. Pitch for glide. I'm gonna look for a landing spot. Okay, cool. Landing spot found. Now I'm gonna troubleshoot. I'm above 1,000 feet. I got plenty of altitude to try to troubleshoot. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna check my fuel selector. Fuel selector's on both. Fuel shutoff valve is gonna be in. Mixture, I'm gonna go ahead and push that to rich. I'm gonna leave the throttle as is. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna check my ignition, and magnetos is set to both. And okay, cool. So I'm actually gonna turn on my fuel, my auxiliary pump, and I'm going to try to restart the engine. If that does not start, I'm going to restart again. Okay, fuel on both, fuel shutoff valve in. I'm going to assume I flooded the engine, so I'm going to pull the mixture out, put the throttle all the way in, put the auxiliary pump off, and I'm going to try to restart again. If that does not work, again, now I'm going to squawk 7700 121.5, mayday, 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 make my position call, and then try to land accordingly. So I did all of that while I was driving, and you see me how I was reaching and all this good stuff. Okay, cool. So now I'm at a stop. When the light turns green, I'm going to do the procedures for power off stall. Okay, here I go. Power off stall. Notice I have to keep paying attention to what on the road, so I don't, you know, end up in a tree or something like that, or in a ditch. So power on, power off stall. So I'm going to power back. Well, first I'm going to do is to make sure I do my pre-maneuver checklist. So I did my pre-maneuver checklist. Now I'm going to throttle back to 1,500 RPM. I'm going to maintain, I'm going to keep on pulling back pressure as the airplane slows down into flat range. I'm going to go ahead and dump my flaps. Okay, flaps are down. And I'm going to maintain altitude and keep the airspeed going down until it reaches my approach speed. So let's say, I don't know, let's say it's 65 knots. 65 knots. Now I'm going to pitch down and pitch down and pitch down. And as soon as if I have a stabilized descent, I'm going to pull the power out, and I'm going to pull. And then once I'm stalled, recover, and that's really it. And then flaps up one at a time, positive rate of climb, flaps up, flaps up, flaps up, flaps up. But drive and reach and do this all the time for all of your emergency scenarios, or any scenarios that you're having trouble with in the airplane, because you know what? You can do this for free. You can do this as many times as you want. You can do as many engine failures as you want. You can do as many power on, power off stalls as you want. You can do this over and over and over again, and it's free. In the airplane, once you practice doing this in the airplane, of course you have to pay for it. And if you're having trouble for it, if you're having trouble, well, guess what? You got to pay to do that flight again and again and again. This you can do for free as many times as you want. So that's what I'd recommend. Again, disclaimer: I'm not saying to do this because I don't want to be responsible if anybody gets in a car wreck. Well, because, you know, Ty Jones said. No. This is how I chair flew, and this is what helped me the best. And I believe that this is actually what can help many of you as well. So I hope that is very beneficial to you. I normally recommend that to each and every single one of my students, and each and every single one of them has said that they have gained a lot from that, and in fact it actually saved them, so they wouldn't have to do repeat flights. It's very difficult to be in the air for only 1 hour and try to get it right the very first time. Without much practice. this is what I've done, and it helped me, and I hope it helps you. If you have any comments, suggestions that you think, or if you've already have done it, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Again, become a patron, help out the channel, support the channel if you can. But until next time, I want you to keep flying, keep learning, and always have fun. I'll see you guys in the next video.